A week removed from Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr.'s scintillating four-belt shootout in Las Vegas, YouTuber-turned-boxer Jake Paul returns to the ring on Saturday for the first time since losing to Tommy Fury in February, a fight that raked in £31.8 million, $40 million. He squares off against UFC icon Nate Diaz, who holds a victory over Conor McGregor in a 185-pounds catchweight contest over 10 rounds of professional boxing at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. Having been defeated by the first real boxer he has faced in his career, Fury, Paul is reverting back to his winning formula of beating up aging MMA fighters this weekend. Diaz, 38, has never boxed before and has been on a gradual decline since famously choking out McGregor in 2016. Paul's previous opponents, Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley, twice, and Anderson Silva were in the midst of similar downward trajectories when they stepped into the ring with the ex-Disney star. Jake Paul was defeated via split decision by Tommy Fury in Saudi Arabia back in February. Nate Diaz is best known for his two fights with Conor McGregor in 2016. He won the first and lost the second. Three of those four fights, excluding the rematch with Woodley, generated huge pay-per-view buys and revenue. However, despite being a bigger name than his aforementioned ex-colleagues, the Diaz fight doesn't seem to be generating the same buzz. There are still thousands of tickets that remain unsold, and early indications suggest it will bomb at the box office. When asked about the sluggish sales, Diaz didn't seem particularly bothered, but it is a serious concern for Paul and his brand. That's his problem, Diaz told ESPN. I think my fighting promotes as it is, promotes my fights. I'm not gonna get into a little kid argument with the guy and act like we're any realer than it is. It don't get no realer than this anyway. The promotion for the event has been less than stellar. Paul, as always, has talked a good game, but Diaz doesn't seem particularly interested in trying to get the word out about the fight. The Stockton native walked out of their head-to-head interview with Ariel Helwani last weekend, has avoided engaging in a war of words in the build-up despite willingly exchanging barbs with Paul on social media over the years. Diaz was seen looking restless throughout the interview, raising his arm, looking behind him, and eventually walking off the head-to-head interview as Paul was complimenting him. I don't need to act like I don't talk a bunch of S*** like he wants to do. I don't want to stay and talk S*** and go back and forth, Diaz continued. He said something about me at the press conference and I'm like, I wasn't there for no argument. I didn't even want to go to no press conference to argue with nobody. Like, if we're gonna argue, we're gonna fight. So let's just stay the away from each other until the fight. Pardon my language. Not even the inclusion of one of the most recognizable female boxers on the planet, undisputed featherweight champion Amanda Serrano, Paul's close friend and client, has been able to move the needle, although fans aren't exactly clamoring to see her rematch Heather Hardy, a woman she soundly beat in 2019. Regardless of the obstacles the event faces, Paul vs. Diaz should be selling much better than it is. After all, for better or worse, Paul is one of the biggest names in the sport and has a proven track record of drawing in mega numbers. Fans appear to be growing tired of watching Paul face washed-up MMA fighters in the ring. There are still thousands of tickets left unsold for the Diaz fight in Texas this Saturday. Is this a sign that Paul's grip on boxing is slowly wearing off after his loss to Fury? Or is it just a case of fans being unwilling to reach into their pockets to pay for something they have already essentially seen before? It's probably a mixture of the two, but more so the latter. When Paul took the step up in competition against Fury, he set a precedent for the rest of his career that he is a real boxer that intends to face other real boxers. Fans lapped up the fight because the ex-Love Island star, a far more experienced professional pugilist with an amateur pedigree, presented a genuine threat to the American's career. Diaz doesn't pose that same threat. And the reality of being as controversial a figure as Paul has become is that most of the people tuning into his fights are doing so in the hopes of witnessing him lose. Having seen Paul turn over former UFC stars of the same ilk as Diaz in the past, interest from the paying public appears to be thinning. Though victory is expected to lead to a rematch with Fury, which will undoubtedly draw more eyes. A screenshot of the Ticketmaster website for Paul vs. Diaz taken on August 4 showing thousands of tickets are still yet to be sold. Blue indicates tickets are available in that area. On the other hand, defeat would be catastrophic for Paul's future in the sport. His own manager Nikisa Bidarian even admits that the 26-year-old may end up calling time on his career if he loses this weekend. He may retire if he loses to Nate Diaz, the co-founder of Paul's Most Valuable Promotions told ESPN. His boxing career is on the line, in terms of being one of the top 3 or 4 guys in the entire sport globally. I think if he was to lose, he'd just go to being another prospect that's coming up in the ring.